What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumb ass. Like and subscribe. So, the financials came out. And what that means is that it's fuel for the dunk unicorns and the ponies. They say, Xbox is dead because of these numbers that I don't quite understand, blah, blah, blah. And why? Why? Because they're dead. They don't want to expound or expand or give any detail as to why it happened. They just gonna brag about of course they don't know what Sony's numbers are, which will be down as well because all the numbers are down. The whole industry's down, right? And it's an effect of it's kind of a cooling effect of a lot of things. One is the hardware situation with the RAM and all that stuff. You think that it's I guess it's the butterfly effect where, a butterfly flaps his wing. I forgot what the actual saying was, but they did it in a movie or something. And then, there's snow on Tuesday. I forget. But anyway, it's similar. So the RAM stuff, which Microsoft kind of did a move with SK Hynix, right? I think that's who they got all the chips from, or they got the deal done, right? So going back to like the numbers first. First, Call of Duty didn't perform like it did last year. So last year's Call of Duty did 64% better than this year's Call of Duty. And if you do the math real quick, boop, 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 yeah, that could lead to a 9% overall loss in revenue of the whole, I think it's all of Xbox, I believe. Microsoft was up, I believe, I think it was, I can't remember the numbers, but they were up. We're talking about billions of dollars here too. So it's like, they were down whatever percent from 6.7 billion to 5.8 billion or something like that, right? I'm like, I mean, that's lower, yes. And then all the stockholders and the board members and all the people who have shares in Microsoft are like, yo, you're supposed to go up. That's what it doesn't affect us everyday gamers. No, it doesn't. And you look at the output that Microsoft is coming through with just this year, it's like next quarter is going to be nice. Or whatever, you look at when Forza's coming out, you look at when Fable's coming out, you look at when all these things. And Call of Duty, what is it? Modern Warfare 2? 4? 2? Modern Call of Duty, I don't remember what it is. It's Modern Warfare. It's another Modern Warfare. It's supposed to be dope. Modern Warfare 5? I don't even know what the numbers is at this point. I think it's 4. Actually, Modern Warfare 4. And that's supposed to, word on the street, scuttlebutt says that's supposed to be a good game. So I'm like, all right, cool, we'll see. I mean, it has to be better than what they gave us last year, because that was trash. It's really about the checkpointing and having to be online, and you don't finish the mission, it kicks you back to I'm like, a simple thing, quality of life, would have just made a lot of more sense on that game, and it would have made it less of a piece of shit game, let's just say. Like the mechanics themselves, nothing wrong with it. It's a little goofy with I got that first boss with the giant machete coming. I was like, this is crazy. But anyway, so Call of Duty's doing 64% worse than last year affected the profits, obviously, affected the revenue, let's just say. Also, the AI stuff affected the revenue because they're trying to allocate more resources to building these centers. And I mean, there seems to be a little bit of a not oxymoron, but a little bit of a fight difference in that. That is the whatchamacallit, they're putting more into AI infrastructure, but at the same time, Satya said that the main problem is that they don't have enough power to power. They have servers and server farms that aren't being powered up because they don't have the infrastructure for the power. And I'm like, so it's not about compute, it's about money and power, and greasing these legislators to do things. And I think it goes. This is a larger. It's a larger subject when it comes to the efficiency of the technologies as far as energy goes that we have, and I see it as good and bad. It's a little bit of a tangent, but I see it as good and bad. Like this push for AI and all these AI server farms and blah blah blah, right? And the need for all this additional power to run these things is kind of causing a demand for more energy and cheaper energy and hopefully more renewable energy, right? Safer energy. And also, this is a tangent of a tangent. I was watching a video about graphene. I think it was graphene. And I was like, I think I'd heard of it before, but I was like, wait, I mean, it's from, you get it from graphite and stuff, but graphene basically, as I understand it, is a conductor of electricity. And you can use it in lieu of like copper, the traces on a circuit board. You can use graphene instead of that. And it's cooler. I believe it's cooler. I believe it conducts electricity better, more efficiently, and it's cheaper to make. And it's an abundant resource. You can get it. They can make it. And so I'm like, why isn't everything made of graphene? Why isn't all the computers made of graphene? So we have super, super fast stuff. If it's faster than what they're using now and it's cheaper, what's the problem? And a lot of the times it is politics. It's corporate kind of infrastructure. Oh, we're infrastructure to manufacture this and it'll cost us all the stuff. And so we don't want to change how we do things. So we're going to, buy up all the graphene patents or whatever. That happens. That happened with the electric car back in the day. In the early 1900s, the electric car existed. But was it Edison? I forget who. No, it was Ford. I think it was Ford. Doesn't make sense for Edison. I think it was Ford or something. It was like, the gasoline dudes, the oil dudes were like, nah, man, no, we're not doing electricity. Boom. And so I think they bought the patent or something and just buried it and I forget. I'm probably getting the facts wrong, but, battery technology for cars have existed for over 100 years. Let's just say that. And we've only come into recent decades has only come into fruition as far as it being mainstream, if you will. It's not it's not mainstream enough where it is the majority of vehicles, but it's mainstream enough that every single car manufacturer is in it. They have a EV solution, if you will. Anyway, sorry for the tangent. Let's go back to the two tangents ago. So the money, they're making this, they're making that. And once again, one problem I have with how they report the financials, and that's just me because I want more information, is that they give us percentages. And percentages are objective, obviously, but we don't have the actual number for the percentage. So we can say, oh, it's a 32% down hardware. I'm like, 32% of what? What is, you're giving me percentages, but you're not giving me the number so I can understand and have an actual number. If they just gave us the raw numbers, it's probably a little bit less impressive, I guess. But I mean, I guess it makes sense to do percentages, but at the same time, I would just give me the numbers. Maybe it's more depressing, and maybe the shareholders will be like, oh, that's not a lot of money. Or I don't know. I really don't know. But I am tangent man. But anyway, so it's just all those different things. So moving on from that tangent, the hardware, the money, but the hardware part, right? Like this whole RAM apocalypse, people calling it, right? Which is fine, whatever. But what I will say is that Microsoft just happened, I don't know if it was last night, today, this morning, I don't know what it was, but anyway, Microsoft did a deal with SK Hynix, one of the big three RAM. I think it's the biggest RAM. But anyway, they did an exclusive RAM deal with them, and it's for, I guess, for their servers. They have server farms, Azure, AI stuff, AI farms, I guess. I don't know if how Azure and their AI farms are connected. I don't know how that works out. I don't know how the infrastructure works out. I don't know if there's a percentage of each um, like farm has AI blades, or I just don't know. But they're getting they open up their big fat checkbook and say, hey, yo, SK, what's the deal? And they gave them checks like that. uh and so I'm like, okay, yeah, I would expect Microsoft, one of the richer companies in this whole arena, outside of like Nvidia. I think they might be the second richest. uh of course they would make a deal, you know. And so, but what does that mean though? Is it just for the server farms? And someone said it somewhere. It said, no, it's not just about the server infrastructure or AI or anything like that, Azure, but it's also about the other devices, you know, i.e. Xbox, Surface, laptops, and all that stuff. And so I'm like, oh, okay, that gives me a little bit of hope, but at the same time, Microsoft trying to make that money, and they try not to lose money on these consoles or devices anymore. So will the prices go down? Probably not. Will they be as high as a third party, like, you know, Asus or something like that? Probably not. If Asus is making the hardware, like the Xbox, the ROG Xbox Ally, will Microsoft supply them the RAM for that? That's, I mean, that's a big. If Asus has to get that RAM from somewhere else, then those devices are going to be more because they got to pay more. But if Microsoft already has it and they're doing it, then maybe they get a deal. Maybe it'll be cheaper. And if Microsoft is doing their own devices, which they are supposedly, as far as the handheld goes, they are doing another console. Will that affect positively, meaning lower for us, the price? I hope so, but my intuition is telling me that they're probably going to follow the trends of the market. And I mean, if they were like smart, if they were like, you know, for like a customer facing and saying, yo, we want to be, you know, we want to sell these things, uh, then they would probably make it as cheap as they can. I would say not as cheap, like not cheaply made, but, you know, based on what it is, sell it at cost, or sell it just barely above cost. So, or let's just say at cost, so that you cover transportation, you cover all the things that you need to cover, outside of tariffs and stuff like that. You know, if you have some sort of tariff deal, then that's going to add to the price, obviously. But as far as the raw components and stuff, you know, hopefully the whatever price they get, they can just kind of pass it on to us, if that makes sense. You know, make a little bit of money, but don't. The main focus for them is to not lose money on each console. This is like a fundamental shift in the Microsoft Xbox business as far as console goes. PlayStation is still in limbo because they keep doing it. They did a price drop over Black Friday and they didn't sell nothing. I mean, they sold something, but whatever they sold, they lost money on. So it's like, it's counterintuitive. It's like you trying to make money, but you're trying to get consoles at homes, but nobody's buying your game. So it doesn't matter how many consoles you say you sold. It's about how many people are playing. And I think it was a couple of days ago, they're so, this is a sign of desperation for PlayStation, right? They sent PS4 owners like a review, like a hey, you know, you did good in 2025. You played this game and that game, and dude goes to your team, blah blah blah. And then at the end it said, maybe it's time for you to upgrade to a PlayStation 5. You know what I'm saying? All right, peace out, homie. Paraphrasing, of course, but yeah, that's what they literally. It was a little. I saw the picture. I was like, really? Y'all gonna just, you know, try to convince people for a message, like the year in review messaging supposed to be just like, yeah, you played a lot of games, you dope, you got all these trophies. Oh yeah, you should probably buy a PS5, brokey. Why you so broke? Get a job, buy a PS5. That's what they're really saying. They're not saying that exactly, but they're like, get your lazy ass out your mom's basement, get a job, get 2 jobs. Remember? Didn't Casarai say that? Ridge Racer, get 2 jobs so you can afford the PS3. So now they're saying, you lazy and you broke, get a PS5. We almost done with this generation. Actually, not anymore. We're halfway through now, 2030. So 6/4 of the way through. 6/4 of the way through. Wow. But yeah, we're closing in, and that's a whole nother thing, right? Besides Sony begging for people to upgrade, um, the generation seems to be elongated for Sony at least. Microsoft hasn't said anything. Now, I expect them to be. They're not coming out this year, obviously. Will they give us a sneak of what the future console might be? Maybe. If they're coming out next year, maybe. Maybe it's like an early release or something. They need to do something to, like they say, early release, fall 2027. They can pimp it out this year for the 25th anniversary. Early release 2027, late 2027. Early like not a beta program, but a preview program or something for the hardware, something like that, right? Which I don't think is a bad idea, because if it's nice, then it's like, yo, and then they could put it into full production 2028 in the spring. The whole thing is, if it is true that PlayStation is going to hold off until 2030, that's crazy, because the last time Xbox beat Sony to the market, they destroyed them that generation. Mainly because the PS3 was a hot piece of trash garbage. It was the stupidest design. It was so dumb, and it was so bad. They were like, "Oh, they're trying to convince us. Oh, look, we got these cell processors, and this is how." And then people, like the devs were like, "Wait, how do you? I don't understand how that works." That's how bad it was. They didn't know how to make games for that thing. They couldn't optimize it because it was like so ass backwards. It was so bass backwards. And so Microsoft said, yeah, let's just make like a PC, kind of like what we did last time, but a little better. And they did that, and devs was like, this is easy. This is like computer. Like that. And so, but now, PlayStation is, they're blowing in the wind. Seems like they don't know what to do because of the RAM apocalypse. And Microsoft securing this RAM deal. What's that have to say? What does that say about like the position that PlayStation is in? Did they secure a deal too? If they didn't secure a deal, is that why they're not gonna have a console until 2030? Because there is no RAM for them to make consoles? Did Microsoft just scoop up all the RAM to prohibit PlayStation from making a PlayStation 6? I mean, they probably wouldn't do it anyway because it'd be too expensive, and there's no way that they can sell. There's no way that PlayStation can get away with selling $1,000 console and have the success that they have had this generation and last generation. Because the casuals are not going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to get a PlayStation. How much is it? Hold on, let me check. Check my pennies. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I don't have that. I'm not gonna buy that. I'm gonna stick with the PlayStation 5. And that's why you heard them in the Firestar chat. Oh, we're gonna be cross generations for forever. Basically is what they said. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and PlayStation 6. I'm like, y'all are saying all the wrong things. People buy PlayStation 6s because A, more powerful, B, exclusives. Not because it's the best system. If the price is prohibitive, people won't buy it, period. If it's cost effective, if it's like, oh, it's kind of like a place to, if it's $6.99, maybe, but that's still a little high, you know what I'm saying? Because we've been trained on a certain price point. And you see what's happening in the industry, right? Nobody's buying consoles because they're too expensive. Everybody's chilling where they're at. I'm still kicking myself for missing that $4.99 Xbox, the ROG Xbox Ally. I was so mad. I was like, man, I keep thinking about it. And I'm like, yeah. Now, honestly, if I wanted to get it, I could still get it. It's $190 more, but plus I had like an Amazon gift card. It would have been $4.50 for me. But whatever. That's here nor there. I don't know. I don't know if I'll think about it. I'll think about it next couple of months. Maybe on President's Day, we'll see if they got any sales. Go scoop one up. If it drops back down to $4.99, I might scoop it up. Anyway, this whole hardware thing and the RAM thing, blah blah blah. And I always say it'll work itself out. We'll figure it out. It's not the end of the world, but it does shine a light on a couple of different things when it comes to, like I was talking about before, the energy situation, how these server farms and these AI farms need the energy, and everybody's like, I was going to pollute the air and the grass and the water and all that stuff. And I'm like, sure, but that's on the corporations to figure out a way to mitigate those things and to make it healthy for us to have these, things. And it's really just about heat dissipation. So think of like a server farm as a giant computer, and they need to cool it. They need the liquid cooling, son. Literally liquid cooling. Not that liquid metal. Imagine if there was a server farm that used giant 1,000,000,000 gallons of liquid metal. Man, that place would probably explode. I don't know. And it would be highly toxic. I think liquid metal is very toxic. I think. I don't actually know what the actual liquid metal is that they use. Is it barium? No, it's not barium. I don't even know what barium is. I just said barium. It ain't mercury. I know that. Anyway, I think it's the one that's it becomes liquid in room temperature. Anyway, it's interesting. It's interesting what's going on. We compartmentalize and we separate the hardware dealings, the computer stuff, the tech stuff, the corporations, AI, and all the stuff, and we kind of push it to the side, and then we look at games. We look at the games and say, who got the games? Xbox. Who doesn't have the games? PlayStation. PlayStation got no games. That's just a fact. And right now, the PlayStation, the ponies are eating them Xbox niblets, them Xbox Scooby snacks or whatever, it's horsey snacks. The Xbox hay, that hay is green over there. And they loving it up. They eating it up like num 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 num. They're loving it because they ain't got nothing else to eat. PlayStation is failing their consumer base. This generation is like, okay, so you won the console unit sales fight, if you will. Console war's not over, by the way. I just said, when people say that, they're trying to make it true, but it's not true, because as long as Microsoft continues to make hardware, as long as Xbox continues to have a console in whatever form it is, that's the war right there. Your device versus this other device, so. And it's evolved, obviously. You look at all three companies, you're like, who's putting out the best games, the most games overall? Xbox. Right now, Xbox, because PlayStation ain't putting out shit. They ain't putting out nothing. But Soros, like, no. I mean, no. It's like, that's a game for a very small part of the gamers. And they're like, Wolverine. It's like, I mean, people like Wolverine. It looks cool, kind of, sort of. But at the same time, I'm like, You think about the gameplay loop. The problem with Wolverine is that it's not Spider-Man. You're not flinging and swinging. You know what I'm saying? You're not sficting and I'm sorry, Snicked is Wolverine. You're not webbing and swabbing. Yeah. So it's definitely different. The characters are different. It's kind of like comparing Ratchet and Clank to The Last of Us. It's like they're both action-y games, but one's real serious, and there's a lot of violence and death, and one's happy-go-lucky. It's colorful, there's explosions, but it's more jovial, jovial. Excuse me. And yeah, Spider-Man, but Spider-Man's Ratchet and Clank and Wolverine is The Last of Us. That's the comparison. I'm just saying. And so, yeah, Last of Us is a good game, but not a super big giant, oh, it's the best game ever, especially the second one, which was meh. It was fantastic. But yeah, PlayStation is in a place where they're not putting out games, and the games that they do put out are like, Ghost of Yotei. As far as I know, it's a failure. People say, oh, it sold well, and it's sold. Like, what does that mean? What's the ratio of consoles sold to games sold? It's not. It's very low. 80 to, it's 84 million, whatever, to wait 2 million. I don't even know how many they sold. I just throw up in the air. They probably sold 2 million, maybe, because that's what all their games sell. Maybe if they're lucky. But some of them don't even sell that. What game was it that sold like 700,000 copies? And they're like, oh man, it sold only 7. I forgot what it was. It was a recent game too. It's a PlayStation exclusive. It shouldn't be hard to name them off. They have so few. Anyway, sorry about that. Sorry with the rambles. But yeah, a lot of stuff happening, a lot of stuff popping off. But I appreciate y'all hanging out, y'all listening to my dumbass. Like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the Microsoft financials. Microsoft getting that deal with SK Hynix. Hey, money. The financials are down, but they're making deals. They spending money to get that money, to get that RAM. And PlayStation's lack of participation in this console, in putting games out. How about that? Lack of participation in putting games out. Because it's dry over there. Dry. Like my throat is. A little dry. But anyway, I appreciate. I'll talk to you on the next one. Took the wait.